what's on Steve and JC's minds this morning? It is Crypto Friday. We'll talk cryptos with Louie. Fonz may hop in. I don't know. We got Kenny coming on. It's Friday, man. What do you want me to say? Smash the like. It's that little thumbs up button that looks like that. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Get notified when we go live. And let's bring in the boys and see what's going on.
Oh, are we back on the morning show?
Hello.
I got to tell you something. I am feeling pretty good. I know Spencer's a little under the weather. Sorry, my man.
I feel good today. I just ran up the stairs, though, so I am out of breath. Whew.
I appreciate it.
Wow, Steve Strazza. All those breakfast sandwiches every morning really coming back to haunt you, huh?
You know what I had this morning, which is just so underrated for breakfast? Warm baguette. Just bite right into it. Butter it up a little bit. Oh, my God. Out of the oven.
Does Perlman know about this?
I relapsed. Don't tell him.
Does he know about the morning carbohydrate load? Like, is that?
I've been getting after it lately at the French bakery. But no.
Not that I'm like the healthiest person in the world, but you know that like that is literally the worst thing you could do in the morning. Right?
I go in cycles, right? So we're just carb on right now. We'll carb off in a little bit, but you know.
Risk off, carb on. Risk on, carb off.
Not in China. China's up again this morning. I don't know if you see him, bro.
China, no carbs there.
All these Americans are all upset. The Chinese are just like, let's go, baby. Communism over capitalism has been the trade. You guys laughed when I said that. You laughed. You laughed when I said that. Communism over capitalism. Who would have thunk it? Huh?
You know, everybody, all of these different regions, they have their time, right? Let China have some leadership. It's been a while.
Speaking of cycles, right? It's not just Strazza's belly that goes in cycles, but also money flow around the world, also cyclical, right?
It doesn't have to last forever. Enjoy it while it's here. Buy some Chinese
stuff. Strazza's eating his baguette. He's like, my belly's getting bigger, but it will be smaller. It will be, right now it's peaking, right? Peak carb season. It will be troughing before you know it. I got legs with Maggie today, so wish me luck. All right, can we do a little state of the market, please? And enough with Strazza's diet. Jesus. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the Dow futures up 72 points this morning and moving. Slightly up 42,700. S&P 500 futures up 0.25%, up 15 handles. 57.60 for S&P's NASDAQ 100, up almost 0.5%, 20,165, up 76 handles. 30-year bond futures up 0.25%, back above 117. You got crude oil making moves this morning, 1.3% to the upside, 67.25 for crude. Copper down 1.5%, 473. Gold flat, 29.30. Silver down almost a full percent, just above 33, with the VIX at 24. Down slightly this morning. Over in Funny Money Land, we've got Bitcoin pushing 90,000, hanging in there. If we stick this landing above 90, I will be buying more happily. And Ethereum is up. Ethereum is flat this morning, 2,200 even. Over in Solana, Solana making moves this morning, up 1%, pushing 145. Big reversal in the overnight session for Solana, for a lot of cryptocurrencies for that matter. And total crypto market cap, Mr. Spencer Israel, $2.9 trillion. $2.9 trillion. And just for those keeping score at home, the US dollar index futures are setting up for, like, I don't know, the worst week ever or something like that. Like, have you run the numbers at all? Where does this week fit in the whole thing?
Worst week in a while. You know what it's the best week ever for, since we're on best worst?
Germany Q's ratio.
Every one of them, dude. IFA SPY. Go back to forever. We need one more day, but best week ever.
So best week ever. So these are actual calendar weeks, not 5-day roll rate of change?
Yep. But it's
Then
showing up on
why
all.
aren't you just doing the 5-day rolling?
So I wrote about this like a month ago, and I said we're getting close to initiation readings. I have to write about it again today because we got them in a monster way.
Throw up slide 3. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, look at that. So
All right,
that's
so
a huge
walk
deal.
the folks. So this is one actual calendar week, not rolling 5-day.
That's right.
Okay,
So we need one more day.
About what's happening here?
This is what I like to call starting line momentum. Big moves start with big moves, right? And this has been just look at the chart, a 15-year secular downtrend favoring U.S. outperformance over equities around the world.
So let's explain what IFA is. Not a lot of people understand, financial advisors, and a lot of us know what IFA is, but for those of you who might be new to this, IFA is literally in the in the hierarchy of the most important indexes in the world. It's like right at the top because IFA and the liquidity's there and the market capitalization, like this is a real average, like more real than most of the stuff we talk about.
Here's what IFA is in a nutshell, right? You asked me, you get one index to tell you what stocks around the world are doing. It's IFA because these are the biggest, most important.
Yeah, but there's no emerging here. So this is developed. This is developed markets outside of North America. So basically, it's not U.S. and Canada. It's not a lot of Europe, a lot of Japan, and a little bit of Australia. A little how you doing there in Australia, and that's pretty much it. Little right?
It's the big boys.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's the big boys and none of the speculative stuff.
Yeah.
So you like to see this kind of a momentum blowout reading at the very, very early stages of a trend reversal. What we call them is momentum thrusts, right? This is a thrust. It's a thrust on a relative basis. So we'll look back to this chart, I don't know, months, quarters from now, and there should be a nice base there and a reversal and a 200-day moving average that is flattened and curled higher in favor of IFA over SPY. And then we'll look back at this chart and we'll say, ooh, and remember that initiation reading? We already got the momentum thrust. This, to me, when I get a momentum thrust like this, I can trust the trend reversal so much.
Do you trust the thrust? Is that what we're doing here?
When they keep coming like this, we're getting them like across the board these days. The last time we had such a historic momentum thrust was in China last fall. And then after that, I got made fun of for 3 months for talking about Chinese stocks. The way that these thrusts work is long-term, super bullish. Short-term to even intermediate term, neutral to bearish. There's going to be an unwind here at some point. So the thrust like this, it's a longer-term signal for primary trend people. But this is great news for European leadership, for ex-US leadership, for Japanese leadership, for German leadership. It's all working out there.
So one of the things that Strazza just said, so just to put things in perspective, you're seeing what's happening in China. It goes up every day. It doesn't give a damn what the market is doing, what the Trump says. Doesn't matter.
Hold on. This is so important. I was joking about everything I said about the bread and the carbs before.
Oh, Perlman's in the chat. So Strazza's like, oh.
What?
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So what you're seeing right now happening in IFA, right? So these are developed markets outside the United States. These are the biggest. This is Europe, this is Japan. We saw this exact same thing in China in late September, right? And now you're seeing a few months later, it goes up every single day, right?
Yeah.
So that's why Strazza's like, in a few months, we're going to be pointing back to this. I would argue we're going to be pointing back to this in a few months, in a few quarters, in a few years. We're going to be pointing back to this week in IFA. Like, seriously, that's just like we've been pointing to that late September situation in China. And I think we're going to keep pointing to that. It's going to be the same thing here, in my opinion. And I think that the driver of this, look no further than slide 2, the real star of the morning show, slide 2. Give a shout out to the old slide 2. The dollar is literally getting the crap kicked out of it. Like, there's just nothing else to say. You can't be nice about it. It is getting absolutely destroyed. And the last time it was destroyed like this was towards the end of 2022 there, Strazza, right?
Oh, yeah. So speaking of momentum reading.
And what happened after the end of 22? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. It was a pattern, JC, that looked almost identical to the one here today. It was a little tactical top, and then it brought the dollar back to the lower bounds of a range that was then established and in place for like 2 years. I think that's exactly where we're heading now, maybe even to and through the lower bounds of that range around 100.
Go to the next one.
Ooh, look at that. Nasty.
I know.
But yeah,
here you're looking at the dollar and
JC,
down below is the VEU.
this week is pretty much just as bad as what we saw back then in late 2022 at that top, and then also during the pandemic. So we haven't seen this kind of currency market volatility in a long time.
Yeah. You know, it really comes down to, you know, and I'll say it again. I said it again this week, and again, I don't know, but I'm asking the question. I think it's a valid question, right? Is some of the selling pressure that we've been seeing in the U.S. equities market coming from this destruction in the U.S. dollar is causing such a violent flow into into foreign equities so violently that U.S. equities are being used as a source of funds to provide liquidity for that unwind. I came into the week asking that question. I continue to pose that question. I'm still thinking about it. Chat, weigh in. You guys think there's something there? I really do.
Yeah,
here's something there.
Fine, but and you already know. I think it's a good thought, but I don't like it because I don't know how it helps me. Whether or not it's profit taking and money's being rotated internationally, I don't care. If this is what U.S. equities are looking like and doing, it, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
I'll tell you why I care.
The reason for it won't change what you have to do to protect your portfolios.
I'll tell you why I care if it means anything to you. Does what I care mean anything to you or no?
No, I'm having like a thoughtful discourse here.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I'll show you how it helps me. So it helps me. So for me, I think about bull markets and I think about market environments as stocks as an asset class, not US stocks. Stocks are an asset class. We are not just Americans, we are earthlings, right? So in these cycles, I want to see how stocks are doing as an asset class in both bull markets and bear markets. If it was a situation where US stocks are selling off a little bit and China's down 20% this week or something like that, and the dollar's ripping in everybody's face, like there are larger forces at work that are putting downside pressure on US stocks, and it's bigger than that. In this case, it's more of like US stocks are like in isolation and everything's working out so well. So when I zoom out and I ask myself, hey, is this a healthy market environment? Is this a bull market? Is this the type of market environment where we want to be putting money to work into risk assets? Or is it the type of market environment where we want to be taking money out and getting more defensive? So for me, when I see what's happening all over the world, seeing what's happening in Europe, seeing what's happening in China, Hong Kong, all of these other areas, you know, I wonder, okay, so what should I do with my money? Should I be putting money to work or should I be taking the money that I do have to work and taking it out? Like that's how I'm thinking about it. And for me, the answer is I am looking for opportunities to put money to work. I've been putting money to work this week. So far, everything I've done this week is working, actually. I haven't done much, but everything I've done this week is working a little bit, right? It's not life-changing, but it's working. So we're moving in the right direction. I think today's stick's going to be a big one. You're looking at a weekly close. You know, a lot of choppiness this week. So where we close that week, I think is going to be a big one. And I want to say one more thing. I was talking to our homie Larry Thompson. Shout out Larry Thompson. You know, yesterday, Larry, you know, I've got a couple of years on Larry, obviously. So, you know, I've had some hard lessons over the years. And, you know, I've fallen into the trap of like, oh my God, this is it. This is the big moment for the market, make or break. Like we're going to look back on this week as the most, you know, it's either going to crash or going to rip. I have fallen into that trap of like, this is it so many times over the years. And it took me too long to figure out that in all of those times, it wasn't it at all. It was just another week. So I would venture to say that this, you know, the US dollar move and the relative strength in IFA aside, right? Because that is important. But just from like approaching the apex and like, this is it, you know, probably won't be. It's probably just another week.
Was Larry saying this is it?
No.
Oh, you were just pontificating.
No, like we were chatting. You know what I'm saying? Like we were, you know, we're just talking about the market. Larry's like, oh, this is something. And I was like, let me tell you something, bro.
So I got to ask you.
Shout out, Larry.
Love you, Larry. I got to add some things. First of all, dollar. If you told me worst week since late 2022, right, when we were topping, what were stocks doing? They were bottoming. It was very different action. Very, very different action when you looked at risk asset markets when we saw this kind of dollar weakness last time.
Sentiment was also coming off similar levels.
Hold on. I'm not done. Best week ever. Worst week ever for dollars. Also, well, worst week since 2022. Worst week since Oh my gosh, March of 2023 for the Dow. That shouldn't be happening while the dollar's having its worst week. Would you agree? And again, I think you got to close here today.
Yeah,
Flat.
I wouldn't have expected that, full disclosure.
Worst week since the first quarter of 2023.
Yeah.
While the dollar's literally falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, my point is I wouldn't have expected that, but I think that part of that has to do with all these other things are moving higher so aggressively that the U.S. is being used as a source of funds to a certain extent. I do believe that.
You said everything you're doing this week is working?
Everything I'm doing this week is working, at least slightly, sure. Why?
You got stopped out of Bitcoin yet?
No.
Are you back in? You got out and in? Because we did the
90.
I got
stopped out. I bought it on Sunday morning, a little bit. I got stopped out right away. I got in, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday. I think Monday and Tuesday. I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in. Let's see how they stick it. Again,
you're excited.
My real trade is a breakout above 102. That's where like a breakout above 102 is like when we were in on a breakout above 31 a couple summers ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then I just waited and waited and waited, and then it exploded, right?
What? So yeah. How come you don't want to use the election VWAP? It works too good. You wouldn't have gotten stopped out. You're using that instead of 90.
I could do that.
I don't know. Market keeps telling you that's the level.
And you've been right. What do you want?
You
want me to give you more flowers? You've been right.
Why not wait for 95? It keeps working. The election VWAP. So I don't know.
Again, for real positions and something that's going to matter to me and my family, yes. Some starter positions just to wet the beak a little bit. You know, I bought a CryptoPunk, I bought a little Ripple, bought a little Bitcoin. Just get my mojo. Get my mojo going, right?
I think you could dip in if you feel so inclined here. But the best advice for most people, long-term people, is like you don't need to rush into this right now with this kind of action. Everybody's so excited for this.
Here's the beauty of what we do. I don't give people advice, and quite frankly, I don't give a shit what anybody else does with their money. I'm really only concerned with what I do with my money. I'm the only person that matters in this decision-making process. So I don't give advice.
My golf buddies like to know about the Bitcoin, so I got
you give your golf buddies advice. I would tell your golf buddies to shut the fuck up and hit the ball. Speaking of which, you take way too long on the tee box, shaking your little ass and
No, I changed. No, I got a new setup. I'm quick now. You see, the best setup ever. Ludwig Ober. Go look at this guy. He just looks at the ball, walks up to it, and whacks it. He's like Happy Gilmore up there on the tee box. It's absolutely incredible. I don't know how he's so quick. It's super cool though. But he inspired me. Anyway.
All right. So talk to me about this cripple. The cripple. Wow. Talk about a Freudian slip. You like that?
Wait, who's making it? We're
gonna have to use it. We're gonna have to use that. That was total Freudian slip. I swear to God.
Can someone make a cripple coin?
Can someone make a cripple meme coin?
Yeah.
And can you just airdrop it to me? jcparets.eth. Airdrop it to me and I'll pump it for you. Deal. Go. All right. So that's too good. I'm not creative enough to make something like that up. The old cripple coin. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I like it.
No,
I like it.
Big reversals last night. Big reversals. Strazza not impressed by the reversals last night. Tell me why you're not impressed. So hold on. Let's talk about what happened. So Louis here. Why don't we bring in Louis here for this conversation?
I figured we'd wait for Louis. Yeah.
All right. Good. Ludo.
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Louis having a hair day today.
We're scheduling Louis' appearances really well, accidentally, I guess. You know what I mean?
As soon as I pop in, you're bringing me on. I appreciate that.
You're coming after the big headlines Monday too. So last night, or really right after the market, what was it, like 6 o'clock Eastern, around then? Last night, you got a little pippity-poppity, little movement in the cryptos because they announced some new news about the reserve. And basically, I think, Louis can add more color. He wrote a great note about it today. Basically, the takeaway for me is there's no new buying of Bitcoin by the U.S. government. Again, because like we talked about for weeks now, that would be crazy for the U.S. government to do. So they came out and they said, yeah, we're not going to do that. With a big emphasis on not spending taxpayer money, not spending taxpayer money. So that kind of speaks to the sentiment, I think, of the populace, because they had to say that so many times in these releases. So what they're going to do is they're going to take the Bitcoin that they seize, you know, and raids and different stuff from Silk Road and people like Sam Bankman-Fried, who, by the way, hilarious interview yesterday. Apparently he's hanging out with P.
You
Diddy.
saw the Tucker Carlson?
I saw clips. Patrick kept me updated.
Was it good?
He said P. Diddy is kind to him. So that was
Oh,
awesome.
he's there with Diddy? And you think this is not a simulation?
It's too good. Yeah. So anyway,
Sam
they're gonna
Bankman-Fried is playing chess with Diddy in Brooklyn. And
so apparently, listen, so David Sachs put out a note yesterday, a little Twitter release talking about it. He said the U.S. government basically lost $18 billion in opportunity cost by liquidating seized Bitcoin over the years. I think that's great. I think this makes total sense. I'm all for it. I think this is a good way to kind of start. The public is simply not ready to say, hey, we're going to take your money and buy Bitcoin. I think.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And the crypto community and crypto investors were actually quite underwhelmed by this. They weren't too impressed because they're like, well, they've just launched this Bitcoin. No checks are actually being written. No cash is being deployed. So what's really the point? This is more of a this is not really much in any of a development.
Yeah.
But I think some perspective is in order here. We've just gone from an administration that has been really anti-crypto, the Gensler SEC, to now a really pro-crypto administration. And so I think a really logical middle ground is doing what they're doing right now by not actually buying any more Bitcoin, but using the existing Bitcoin that they've seized from operations like Silk Road, and then actually converting that into a reserve, right? And so they don't actually need it to go get congressional approval to actually go buy new Bitcoin right now. That just seems like a really logical middle ground. And I think this is a problem that the crypto community faces in all of its decentralization. And crypto is really fast moving. We know this, right? It's really efficient in how it decentralizes power and how it runs these platforms and organizations, right? But now crypto is meeting Washington.
Yeah.
And it's realizing that Washington actually moves slow. Policy moves slow. It's very intentional, very slow moving at a glacial pace. And so I think what happened was the expectations were set so high by the crypto community. And then now what we're seeing is a readjustment of those expectations and they're crashing back to reality, right? And I don't think this action is... Yeah, I absolutely, because you don't want the market pricing in something that's unrealistic, right? And so I think in actuality, this recent correction that we've seen in crypto, and particularly in Bitcoin, is actually quite justified, right? Because it's not like Bitcoin is below where it was trading prior to the election. Bitcoin's still up 30% from the election, which is still an incredible amount just over the space of a few months, right? And so I think just a little bit of perspective is in order here. Crypto had the community set, the crypto community had their expectations set so high, and then now we're just coming back to reality. And I think this correction, more than anything, has just been a readjustment in expectations.
It's almost this simple at this point. Go find the people on crypto Twitter. It's a tough community out there in crypto on Twitter. Go find the people with the most likes and the most followers and go look at what they've been saying for the past week or 2 weeks, peddling these videos about Michael Saylor inferring that the US government was going to buy a ton of Bitcoin. All this bullshit. They were telling the world that the US government was going to come out here, launch this reserve, and just start buying Bitcoin. That was a crazy thing to think. How people listen to these people blows my mind. But until they start talking about expectations that are more like, oh, the US government's probably not ever going to buy Bitcoin, that's when things will get really interesting on the bullish side again. That the sentiment there has to be completely reset. Then we can get a nice upside surprise or a reaction in the future if and when the government does decide to actually start buying Bitcoin on the open market.
And now the question is, when would that conversation be had? And so what's going to happen now under this new executive order is that there's now a 90-day period where Treasury is going to have an official recommendation to the president as to what they're going to be doing with this reserve. Because we don't actually know a whole lot of information about this reserve. You know, what the scope of it's going to be like, whether they're actually going to start writing checks and they're actually going to start buying Bitcoin, whether there's going to be other cryptos involved, and if so, what's their magnitude? Is it 90% Bitcoin? Is it 100% Bitcoin? And so I think we're going to get a lot more information because the White House is hosting this summit with a lot of industry leaders, Coinbase's Brian Armstrong, Michael Saylor, a whole bunch of industry insiders. And so I think the the reaction here is that particularly Brian Armstrong, Saylor, they're probably going to advocate for more of a Bitcoin-oriented reserve rather than including other cryptocurrencies, because that was just a bit of a weird recommendation. It
If
seems
you
like
were in
everyone
that
was quite
meeting, what would you be saying? Would you be agreeing with those two?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that it's quite weird to have something like Ripple, Solana, Cardano is in a reserve. Now, the reason why they've done those particular cryptos is because they're primarily US based.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think it's still
Oh,
quite a weird recommendation.
is that those are all like US
Yes,
founded and
Sui
operated?
also. Sui just got added as well, and it's US. Yeah.
Oh, that's why it's up today.
Let me
Okay.
ask you
Yeah.
guys this: does
Oh,
anybody
that's
think
interesting,
about?
Louis. I didn't know that.
Hold on, let me
Yeah.
ask you this. I've been talking about cryptocurrencies and trading these things and having conversations for over a decade, I guess since like 2013. And a common theme along the way, even until recently, was that maybe like a year ago, was that the US was going to ban it. Countries around the world were going to ban Bitcoin. You're not allowed to use it.
dude.
Like it's like this illegal thing. And now the United States government is one of the largest holders of Bitcoin on the planet, right? So can we talk about just like how far removed reality was from the narrative? Like a lot of the pushback for so long was the government's going to make it illegal. It's fake money, money laundering, drugs,
Yeah.
like all that, all those things aren't true, right?
But nobody really believed that. Again, that goes back
I don't
to
know. I think they did. I think they
No,
believed it. They were telling me that for a decade, bro.
yeah, but if you no, I'm sorry. The problem with crypto is that the loudest voices in this community are the craziest. And at the extremes, they say wild shit, and they're wrong every time. So that was a bad take then, just like it was a bad take that crypto should never be touched by the government. We want it to be decentralized. We want it to be unregulated, right? Every take along the way by these Bitcoin maxis has been trash. And now I'm seeing this from some of these crypto voices, won't name any names, on the Twitter right now, saying like what you're saying. Oh my God, look how far we've come. Look at the shitty price action despite it. Isn't that what we should be talking about?
If it was a stock, it'd be what, the
Cheerleaders.
7th largest stock. So shitty price action, I think, is a little disingenuous.
Dude, you got to be realistic about where we are right now and how to navigate the current
Are we
market.
up 30% from the election?
Saying how good it's
Are you
been,
not entertained?
we're up 30% since the election. Look how far we've come. We
Is
went
it
from
not the best performing asset on the planet since the election or something like that? Like,
it's one of the best performing assets of my career, and right now it's completing a top.
you still think it's completing a top, huh?
Well, let's look into the future a little bit here. So I think the big thing that has driven Bitcoin really since October, September has really been these narratives of what's going to be happening with the government. You had the election, then you had the reserve after the election, and the market was just really pricing that in. And so now the next thing that the market's going to be looking for is that in June, that's when the official recommendation is going to get made. And so if there's a recommendation to increase the scope of this reserve and to actually start buying, which we don't really know what the chances of that are right now, then I think there's going to be a trade that's going to take place where people are almost going to front run the US government purchasing Bitcoin. And so I think if the most bullish scenario is that stocks just stop going down, and then we get an official recommendation from the report in the next 90 days to suggest that the government is going to increase the scope of the reserve. We have no idea that the second is going to happen. We have no idea what that probability is. We're probably going to get a little bit more insight in the next few days after the summit and in the weeks in the weeks after that. But I think if there's a recommendation that's made, I think the market's going to be front running Uncle Sam for buying Bitcoin. But again, we don't know what that's going to look like. That's a potential bullish catalyst to look for in the next few months.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we should just like zoom out, remember where we came from and how this cycle's really been. Bitcoin bottomed at what, 16,000 2 years ago, right? Pretty clear evidence of a reversal around 25, ran all the way up north of 100. So call it whatever from the base breakout, Forex, from the lows 600%. This is a top on a shorter time frame, right? So it's only your own fault if you got to the party late and you don't want it to end right now, right? But when you see patterns like this, you protect yourself, especially if you're up 4, 5, 6x and you've been here for 2 years. So I think it's important to just, talk about where we've come from as context.
I also want to talk about something important because Strazza is talking about like people with the loud voices on crypto Twitter and all of this stuff. Let's make something perfectly clear.
It's
You
terrible.
you can take this chart off.
They're so bad.
The
Jason.
problem with it, it's not everybody, but 99% of crypto Twitter and the loudest ones, their careers and their livelihoods are dependent on Bitcoin and crypto assets going up in price. And if it does not go up in price, that's a big problem for their business, for their career, and for their own wallet in some cases. Usually they don't have any money, they're broke, but their businesses and their careers are dependent on rising Bitcoin prices. See, here's the thing about me, especially, and Louis and Strazza are in the same category. We don't give a fuck whether Bitcoin goes up or not. We don't care. Our lives are not dependent on it. Our careers are not dependent on it. Our business are not dependent on it. Our reputation is not dependent on it. We don't give a fuck. If it goes to zero, we'll laugh about it. We'll think it's hilarious. It'll be the funniest thing ever if it goes to zero. I hope it does. It'll be so funny that even if I lose a little bit of money, Bitcoin going to zero will be so hilarious. And we'll have so many stories to tell for decades that, like, great. And now here's the other thing. If Bitcoin goes to 10 million, great. We'll make a lot of money. Fantastic. But here's the thing. We don't actually care. It doesn't actually matter to us, to our business, to our reputation, to our career. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of it. We really don't care. So when you're reading these crazy things from people, remember that in a lot of those cases, it has to work or they're fucked. For us, it doesn't matter. If it goes to zero, it would be hilarious. So funny. Like too good. Like almost like I kind of want to lose a little bit of money so that it goes to zero and we have all kinds of funny stories to tell. Now, realistically, it probably won't. It probably will go up and we'll probably make a lot of money, right? But if it doesn't, that's okay too. And I think it's really important to remember that. And if you catch yourself in the former category where it's make or break for your life that this thing goes up, you're in a bad place in your life. Like that is a tough way to live. I've been there, I guess, to a certain extent at one point or another in my life. It's not good. It's not good for the brain, and it's not good for the soul. It's not good for your family. It's not good for your friends and the people around you. It's the worst for people who listen to you, obviously, because you're super biased, right? So for us, that we don't care, it truly is a blessing. And I want to just say thank you, to everybody who's helped us get to this point in our lives where we don't have to care. It doesn't matter that much.
I'm not as much of a sicko as you are about it, but I appreciate that sentiment from you.
I'm just laughing at some of the comments here. Just a small part of Louis dies every time JC does this. Louis' face when JC says this.
But Louis' life doesn't.
But no,
I
mean, I agree, right? It's we don't really care whether these things go up or down. We're just here to participate in the trend. If it means that we're shorting Bitcoin, then we're shorting Bitcoin.
I gotta jump in on this. I fucking care a lot when things go up and down because I make massive bets on different asset classes.
Hey, but let's say 2 years from now, Bitcoin is zero. Are you gonna care?
Right now, if Bitcoin went to zero, I wouldn't really care. Last year, I would have cared a lot. It was 50 to 60% of my invested dollars were in cryptos.
Yeah, but you would have gotten stopped out along the way. It wasn't you were gonna ride it to zero like some sicko.
No, but if we were having this conversation, then I would have been like, I care a lot. You know what I mean? But like, yes, we have stops and we have risk management procedures in place that we don't ride things to zero. But I'm not saying I don't have a horse or a dog in the race every now and then in these things.
I will, assuming I do nothing from here forever, I don't touch anything. If Bitcoin goes to zero, I'll probably lose a few bucks. All right. Fine.
No, I get it. It's immaterial.
Think about the stories that we'll be able to tell. Like that would be good. Think about the book. We'll be able to write about it. We'll make that money back. Like it's fine. Like it's not a big deal. Right?
DJ Felly Fell. I'm nothing but honest all day, every day on here. That's why you hate me.
That's it. We keep it real. Tell them, don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Can we get back to the Forex markets, please? Can we talk about the Swedish krona and the Polish zloty? Start with the Swissy. Swissy making new multi-month highs. Look at Strazza. He's like, I'm out of here.
Bro, why have you got me on this? Like,
hold on.
I don't give a shit about this zloty.
Well, if you would just let me finish my point, and then I'm going to ask you the question. Can you put the Swissy, please?
Oh God,
Okay, ready?
Strazza just dipped and just left me to
All
listen
right,
to
ready?
this. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Go ahead. Yep.
Swiss franc making new multi-month highs. Keep going. Let's just go over a few, and then I got a question for Louis. Euro, what a stick this week. One of the biggest weekly sticks of all time. How you doing? Keep going. British pounds putting in a stick. Keep going.
You know, I'm just gonna lean
Polish
back and I'm
zloty.
just
Look
gonna
at that
watch
stick in
this.
the zloty. Look at the stick in the zloty. And then throw the krona up. We got the krona there. There's the Swedish krona. Look at that coming off support, pushing up against new multi-year highs. U.S. dollar having one of the worst weeks of all time. Louis, if I told you that the dollar would have one of the worst weeks of all time, and krona, euro, zloty, all these things are doing what they're doing, would any of you have said that these cryptos are ripping?
We know that these correlations have just broken down. That
Yeah.
correlations are weak. And that's been happening in a while. So I think that if you're a crypto investor, I think you're probably focusing on what the US government's doing with this reserve and what's happening with the macro landscape rather than caring about the Polish zloty. I think that's probably going to be the intention of a crypto investor. I don't think the Polish zloty is front and center of their mind right now. You know, I think if you go on crypto Twitter, I think you'll be really surprised to see all the crazies just talking about the Polish zloty and the Swedish krona. That's in fact, I think you're
I
probably
think it's a
the
little bit of a
only.
stretch.
I think you're probably the only person that I know who's who's even talked about. I don't even know that the Polish currency was called the zloty until I met you.
This is complete honesty right here, guys. This is coming from the heart. Coming from the heart, right, Lou?
Coming from the heart. Not nothing but the heart around here.
Louis like, I don't even know where Poland is. Where is Oh, shout outs. It's actually the złote. If you really want to. It's called the złote. It's not zloty.
Wow, you
It's
see?
złote. The nanny for the kids across the street, she's from Poland. She's actually in Poland right now. And I was asking her about this zloty because we were at the playground hanging out together. You know, I was like, so that's zloty. And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she's like, and I was like, yeah, the currency. And she's like, the fact that you're even talking about this, she's like, oh, the złote. And I was like, oh, is that how you pronounce it?
See, if I didn't have you in my life, JC, I wouldn't know these facts.
Dude, this lady, man, she makes the best pierogies. Oh my god. Oh my god, they're so good.
A pierogi?
Pierogi?
What's that?
You don't know what a pierogi is? I think
No,
am I
what's a
saying it
pierogi?
wrong? It's like a pierogi. You never had that?
No. I mean, look,
Dude.
I'm in New Zealand, right? I'm at the bottom of the world. And so you got to think about like our cultural diversity. Like we're a fucking boat ride away from Antarctica, right? And we don't really have any Jews. We don't really have any South Americans, many Europeans. And so I go over to the States, and you're like, Louis, let's go have this food. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't even know how to eat it, but let's just put it in my mouth, right? And so there's so much food out there that I just like haven't experienced because I'm at the bottom of the world. And so what's a pierogi? What is that?
It's like a Polish dumpling, but with like potatoes and like seasoning in it. And then this lady, she's so gangster. She puts bacon in her. Oh, forget about it.
That sounds gangster.
Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so good. And the Polish, and then they got the kielbasa, which is kind of like this like sausage kind of thing, but not really sausage. Kielbasa. You get the kielbasa, you get the pierogies, dude. These Polish people are not messing around, man. It is.
I'm bullish pierogies. I'm
Dude,
gonna make
bullish pierogies. Yeah, not on the Perlman program. Not on the Perlman program. It's a Polish dumpling. Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it. You know, I'm sure the Polish people would not agree. I'm sure the Asians would not agree either. But it's probably a pretty good way to think about it. Very different.
Nice.
But it's like that doughy outside with the deliciousness inside, like an empanada. It's like a Polish empanada. You know, do they got? I don't
Is it hard to make?
Probably.
You know what?
I mean,
I'm a great cook. I'm a great cook. I'm gonna try my best.
pierogies are like one of those things where like if you were gonna make one, it would take forever. But if you're gonna make 200 of them, you could bang them out fast, right? It's kind of one of those things. Yeah, that's how to do it. All right. So we've got the market opening up in less than 20 minutes. You know, we had a jobs number this morning. Spencer, I know you don't. Spencer's not feeling too well, but can you chime in quick and let us know what happened? What do we need to know? Stocks are selling off since then. Dow's down 180 points. Nasdaq's down 20 bips.
Yeah, jobs were created last month.
Were they created?
They were a little bit less than expected, and the unemployment rate ticked up. That's the bottom line.
And are these the non-farm payrolls?
Yeah, but this data is always on a delay, so we're not seeing any trickle through, any follow through from the doging of
I was
the
going to
government.
ask that. Does this include any of that or not yet?
No, not yet, not yet. You want to look at jobless claims for that.
And when's that?
Every Thursday.
All right.
Yeah.
Every Thursday they do that?
Yeah.
Wow. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Seems like a very frequent, too frequent, you know. Any of the farm payrolls? No, still no, nothing from the farm payrolls.
Did you guys watch the Joe Rogan with Elon talking about the Doge? There was some good stuff.
Was it good?
Yeah, I didn't watch it all because I mean I watched the first 30 minutes and I was talking about UFOs and conspiracies and I was like, I'm not really interested in this. I just wanted to hear about the Doge. And so I skipped forward and it was, some of the spending that they're uncovering, I just think it's great. It's really interesting.
Clips. They were talking about like some transvestite factory in India that we're funding or something like that. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. What is your government doing over there?
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
I think the problem started like in the mid 80s, from my understanding. I don't think it's just the libs. I think the Republicans, I think it's all of them just a disaster.
Like something like this is going to be hard and there's going to be a lot of negatives that you can say about it, but like Rose is coming home from work and they're kicking people out of Navy housing who are like staying in Navy housing and they like never worked for the Navy and just somehow got into the system. Like this is the kind of stuff that probably has never been done, never even looked at. I know, you keep hearing the story about the 250-year-old collecting Social Security, but come on, it's about time. If you could keep it to that kind of stuff, it's very positive and frankly, long overdue.
Can we talk about the Fort Knox situation? It hasn't been audited since like the 1950s or something like that.
That sounds like a bit of a risk to me.
Dude. Should maybe somebody go in there and count and see what the story
you know
is?
what's crazy? The craziest shit that I heard was that if you're a federal employee and you're retiring, they store their paperwork in a fucking mine. Like they literally need to go down into this mine, and then they've got all the paperwork stored in this mine. So they go down to the mine and they walk around and they try to find the files among millions of files. They don't keep these things on an electronic record. They literally keep the employee retirement records in a mine, literally under the ground. That was the craziest thing that I've heard about this. I never knew about that.
The best part was he's saying we're gonna go check Fort Knox. We're gonna make sure the gold's there. And one of the reporters goes, where else would the gold be? Like where would it have gone? What the fuck? Oh, crazy town. It's really entertaining though. It's stuff like at the speech the other night. I think it's so terrible. I think there's a certain level of respect that you should treat like all Congress people and government people with, whether they deserve it or not. Right? That's just like bottom of the barrel respect. So you shouldn't call people Pocahontas right to their face, like in public like that. However, when it happened and I heard it live, I spit my drink out of my mouth. So I can't sit here and say I'm not enjoying it. Right? I just,
if you don't want people to make fun of you like that, don't be such a terrible person.
I'm torn.
Like she's like a horrible human.
Maybe. She hates the banks. She hates banks. She hates them so much.
I think she just hates her life. Like it's.
Hates
I think she's just like
she hates
extracting hate.
Hates
like
me.
She just doesn't like anything. I think she's just an angry lady.
Yeah.
Imagine being married to that. Oh. Can we talk about I want to talk about these weekly closes, and I don't
Yeah,
want to
big.
like I don't want to like
It's
kind of like just be like, oh, it's just another week. Like this is an important week,
Big week.
obviously.
Big week.
Big week. You think
Big
where they
week.
stick? You think where they stick the landing in equities is going to be real? Like you think that I'm overstating the importance of this weekly close?
We throw up the charts, Fonz, because no, I don't think you are at all, JC. Can we just run through them, Alfonso? It's just massive level after massive level after massive level. I'm talking about cycle long support levels that have held time and time and time again. VWAPs from the cycle lows in the lagging indexes, and then VWAPs from the August 15 lows. Yeah, all right, take your time. VWAPs from the
Explain.
August
I know there's a
15
lot of
lows
folks. I know we talk about VWAP
in
here a lot.
the
I know a
stronger
lot of
index.
people know Brian Shannon and Kenny and the whole thing. Like we know, but like, what about? Can you just explain to the folks like when you're like how you could just anchor it to the highs? Like explain what that means for those people who might not be familiar with the old anchored volume weighted average price.
Volume weighted average price traditionally and early on when we started using it in markets is we turned more electronic over time. Simply showed you the average price of the day, right? Weighted by the volume, right? So it'd be the volume times the share price, and then you weight that, and it's a line throughout the day, and it starts on the very first tick that morning, right? What Brian did, and why we talk about Brian so much, is he took that concept and he expanded it. He said, why can't I drop that VWAP and anchor that VWAP or start that calculation from wherever I want? Not just the first, intraday stick of the day. You use a tick or a 1 minute chart. That's how it started. So what Brian did is he popularized the concept and the strategy behind using that VWAP calculation, but anchoring it to key points along the way and zooming out on the chart, not just looking at it that day. Kenny will use the intraday VWAP a lot, and that's typically what's used in practice mostly. Brian's zooming out, and he's anchoring from things like the August 15th volatility event, earnings dates, January 1, beginnings of quarters, pivot highs, pivot lows, right? And the August 15th VWAP, throw them up. We'll show it here just in the major averages, time and time and time again. In the case of the Dow, you could see on the lower panel here, 4 or 5 times, tested, dug in. That's the line. And when you look at these charts and you say, okay, August 5th, that was a big pivot low in the market in the back half of last year. If you fib that advance out, I'll show the next charts, show the 38% coming in. Every single one, I had Rick go through like 50 of the major indexes and different ETFs last night, just fibbing out the advance from the August lows and dropping the VWAP. It will blow your mind. Look at the chart deck in the research channel. It'll blow your mind how many of these charts are at these levels right now. Do we have one showing the fib retracements? I think we do. Throw that up. So we call that like a confluence of interest, a confluence of potential support. All the major averages are there. If you look at the small cap indexes or the ARCI indexes, you could anchor VWAPs from, just like that, 2022 lows. There's ARC at the August 15th.
But explain what an ARC. Explain what an ARCI index is. So this is the ARC index. What is an ARCI index?
Speculative growth. Speculative growth is really important to me. This is the animal spirits index, in my opinion, right? This tells me how risk on we're feeling out there. Stuff like heavily shorted stocks, recent IPOs, the most speculative, non-profitable tech stocks, in the world, the biggest growth stories, they're in these indexes. So it's important for risk appetite. Can we just show one of the 38% retracement? Any of the indexes? So this is it. This is the confluence I'm talking about. They all look like this. Go right down the line. It's a textbook 38% corrective wave, right to a VWAP that's held up time and time and time again. I think this level needs to hold. You could call it a zone here. What, 58.45 to 57.55 in the SPX. And then you could just go on and mark up all your charts like this. This is how I'm playing it. If we go up from here, innocent until proven guilty. Uptrend still intact. Let's get long. We're back in rally mode. If we break from here, I'm shorting banks, I'm shorting builders, I'm shorting a lot of stuff. I think this level is so important. And I don't think it'll be decided today at this point because we came down, we had indecision, green candle, fail. Wherever we go today, I need to see follow through early next week. But this is just a huge area, huge moment for the market, for the bull market to remain intact. They got to dig in here.
They do. And what if they don't dig in today? Can they dig in on Monday or too late? Bull market
they could fail it. They could fail it, but let's go. We've been here for a little bit already. I was talking to Alfonso about it yesterday. I went back and I found all the other advances off of key lows so far this bull cycle. You can go back in the NASDAQ 100. And one thing that all of those tradable lows had in common was 2 green candles at the lows, counting August 5th, because that was basically a green candle. They had 2 green candles to start. So yesterday, not a good development as far as I'm concerned. Let's see what happens, in today's session.
And then what about semis? Bull market canceled?
Now, those are tops for now, man.
Here, I'm going to throw this up to the top there. Throw up slide 2. This is where we're at right now as we speak.
No, one hole. They're not all tech. Throw up the Dow chart to make that point. This isn't just mega cap growth indexes that we're seeing this level at. Throw the Dow up so we can just show one hole.
Is the absolute or relative trend here more important? Because semi is just absolute, just in a sideways fat mess, right? And
Absolute.
so there's not a top here in the absolute basis.
Hold on, but don't be hating on one hole. The technology still represents 20% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, second largest component. So it's not 50 that is the NASDAQ or 30 that is the S&P, but it's still 20, still the second largest. So it's not like it's an X tech index. It's just not as heavily weighted. Keep that in mind.
We have XLI. All right, go ahead. Fine, it's fine.
Buying home builders again against the lows? Yay or nay?
What?
Home builders.
You took the words right out of my mouth. What do you make of the strength in home builders over the last couple of days? Didn't you get long?
We did. We took some shots.
That's right.
I got Lennar calls. We got some Pulte calls.
Right.
Look, I want to trade it in either way it goes. So I saw one green candle and I shot my shot, and they were green yesterday while the broader market was red. Whatever.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. So hold on. Okay, so Strazza's making money. Everything's great, but forget your trade specifically. Let's talk about what the implications are for the overall market. This is technically these are consumer discretionary stocks, very important consumer discretionary stocks, I might add. But Strazza's point is these are industrial stocks, and they trade like industrial stocks too, for that matter. So forget your trade. Assuming, let's say you didn't make this trade and you're not making money. Let's just assume that you're neutral. What does this mean for the overall market, you think?
No bueno.
Well, no bueno if it breaks, obviously.
Air bear. Yeah.
What's more important, semis, homies, or are they equal?
No, semis a lot more.
Semis more important than homies, really?
Homies, you could convince me. You could convince me that we could lose the homies and be okay. I wouldn't allow that for you to make that argument with semis.
Wow.
Is that fair?
Wow, you really feel that strongly about semis, that homies, really? Okay.
Because the homies can get caught up in housing stuff and bond market stuff a lot more. Semis are economy stocks. They won't have that excuse. But you could paint a story and convince me that maybe the homies do something different this cycle, and I could buy that. You couldn't do that with semis. They're just that damn important. You can't lose them.
We bringing in Fonz? Are we getting Fonz in here?
Fonz, yeah. Let's talk about
the Fonz. Bring in the Fonz. Is he coming? Yeah, he's coming. Bring him out. Bring him out. Oh, Fonzarelli.
What's up, guys?
Where the hell are
Fonzo.
you?
I don't think me and you have been on the morning
show. Yeah.
Yeah, breaking records here. This is our first time.
Yeah, that's good, man. It feels good.
Where are you, bro?
I'm in the UK right now.
You're in the United Kingdom. All right.
Yeah.
New all-time highs for the FTSE 100. Is everybody talking about it?
Yeah, it's not a coincidence, man.
They are talking about it or no?
Not really.
No.
Not too much. No.
No, like they're not like at the local pub eating like fish and chips and talking about the
no,
50 index. No. All right. Well, that's their problem. Fonz, talk to me about some of the big names, right? So Fonz does a great job of, go buy a Financial Times. Yeah, good call. Go buy an FT, Fonz. It's a newspaper. These are like things like boomers used to read back in the day. You should look into it. It was wild. They would print out all kinds of stuff. Like, it's weird. But you should buy one, like as a souvenir, you know.
Mm-hmm.
and then be like, look, these are newspapers. You can like open the pages. It's crazy. So so Fonz does a great job of talking about and doing a lot of work with what we call the Hall of Famers. So these are like the big bellwethers in US stocks, bellwethers internationally. These are, I mean, really the most important stocks in the world, right? In both the US, so the biggest stocks in the US, largest 150 companies in America, and then we go out to the largest 100 companies around the world that trade on US exchanges. So this gives us not only opportunities to make money, obviously, because these are the best companies, but also information. These are the bellwethers. You get the bellwethers right, you get the market right. Bonds, what are you seeing domestically? What are you seeing internationally? Are they the same? Are they different?
Look, a lot of strength in financials outside of the US. That's for sure. When we look at the charts of European financial, it's breaking out of a massive base. Risk on signal from there. Some healthcare names like MDT are resolving higher, and it's normal to see financial, some healthcare, even some industrials names in international, because these indexes are built different than the US. US is more technology. Has more weight on.
What you're saying is you're always seeing financials and industrials in the International Hall of Famers. Are you seeing more or less currently? Is what I guess what I'm interested in.
More. Yeah, and this has been like a trend for the past couple of months. So we have been talking about this internally with the team, and that has been the trend outside of the United States.
What stands out in either of the Hall of Famers, domestic or international, that maybe wasn't the case last year? Like what's new? What's standing out this year specifically?
Good question. Internationally, I will say compared to last year, it hasn't changed. I mean, too much. I mean, I know we're seeing a lot of strength, but regarding like what kind of sector and industry group it's leading, I will stay, with financials. I will say so. And
so
right now,
so internationally, not much has changed in terms of leadership.
Exactly. Yeah. I
know. And in the US.
In the US, I mean, right now, some healthcare names are, popping up at the top of our scans.
And they weren't before, that's for sure.
Exactly. And
like what? So Medtronic, Intuitive Surgical.
In the US, for example, Gilead Sciences, ticker symbol GILD.
Yeah, but Medtronic is one of those fake ADRs that they're in like Ireland for like some
probably.
They're from Minnesota. They're as American as they get. They're like, they're from Minnesota.
Yeah, that's probably true. But for example,
it is. I looked it up.
Bristol Myers, that looking very good. MCK making new all-time highs. AbbVie making new all-time highs. A lot of names in healthcare right now in the US, like mega cap healthcare, breaking out to new all-time highs and showing a lot of resilience. That's definitely stands out.
Well, Kimbo Slice says Alfonso's emails are his favorite. Kimbo Slice, legend in the street fighting, backyard fighting competitions down in Miami. Shout out Kimbo Slice. I thought you were dead. But that's cool. So Kimbo Slice.
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, not someone who I thought would be reading Alfonso's emails. I'll tell you that much. So shout out Kimbo.
Oh, those videos were funny.
You know who Kimbo Slice is?
Yeah, that guy fighting. Yeah, he also reached to the UFC. Right. So yeah, he became like a professional fighter.
Yeah,
it was good.
Scary dude. All right, why do you say we do a little recess and get out of here? What do you say?
Yeah,
we got trades to put on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit it, Spencer. That's you. What do you got, Steve?
Nothing this week, really.
Nothing stands out. Fonz?
Last weekend I went to Edinburgh in Scotland for my birthday. It was a lovely weekend.
Happy birthday, Fonz.
Beautiful city. I enjoy it a lot. It has like the new town, like the old town, like castles. Very beautiful. So I highly recommend go to Edinburgh if you're here in the United Kingdom or Europe. So give it a shot because it's worth it. Trust me.
That's awesome.
I want to talk about sexuality.
Oh fuck.
I got to tell you, men and women are just different. They're just different. You know, I've got 2 boys and I've got a girl. I got a 4-year-old girl and I have a wife, and I have 2 boys that are 2. And when the girls are around, like their heads, like they can't think straight. They're always tripping over each other. They're shitting themselves. Like it's like they can't function properly. And then last night was a great example. My daughter has dance class. My wife takes my daughter to dance class, and it's just me and the boys. Just me and the boys. Let me tell you how peaceful it was with me and the boys. No drama. They're not tripping over themselves and crying and heads exploding and shitting themselves. None of that. Just hanging out, you know, watching a little Finding Nemo, just chilling, playing with some dinosaurs. Like, and then all of a sudden the girls come in and it's like they're tripping over themselves. They're crying. They're shitting themselves. Like they just cannot function when the women are around. It's like it's not so much that they can't function. Like they're just different people.
It's something
it's
about
me and the boys. It's just it's night and day. And you know, to be able to observe science like in real life, it's wild. I mean, it's not surprising, but like it really is wild, man.
you're talking about the energy in the room. I'm a big energy guy.
The energy in the room. That's right.
Wow, I'm a big aura guy. Believe in that. I really do.
I mean, sometimes my daughter's crying. I'm like, what are you crying about? She's like, I don't know. I'm just crying for no reason. Like, I just don't understand, you know? And then it's just me and the boys. And it's like, Daddy, can I get a cookie? Hell yeah, you can get a cookie. I'm gonna get a cookie for me. Let's go. Let's get a cookie, bro. You know? It's just simple. It's just simple. Men and women, man. They're just different. It's just what it is. It's okay. We don't have to pretend that they're the same. They're not.
No, we don't do that anymore. So listen, I do have something. I'm excited for March Madness. It's that time of year again. I dabbled. St. John's. I got them like plus 3,000 or something.
Dude, St. John's is back. And you know what? I'm kind of into it because it's New York's team. You know, I kind of like it.
The Johnnies are good. I'm rooting for them. UConn's not going to get it done this year.
I was going to say, you don't have any beef? You guys don't have any beef with St. John's?
We're fine. They never win. I don't think they've even ever won a Big East tournament in their own house.
What about back in the day, though? A little bit more?
I mean, John Wallace was good for a year. Like, that was fun in the 90s, but, like, they haven't been relevant for my whole life, more or less.
Right.
So
People from Connecticut don't go to Queens, right?
No, listen, I've been to St. John's games growing up and stuff. Absolutely. But
in the Garden, though.
Yeah, but more than that. Like, I've seen, in the Garden. And also, they would come to UConn all the time, too. But they're a lot better than UConn this year. They're physical. They got 2 good guards who could drop 20, 25 points, you know, any given day. And Rick Pitino he's as good as it gets. He's as good as a college hoops coach gets. He's been there before. They're so scrappy. Look out for St. John's. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him this year, really.
Yeah, I root for St. John's too. I root for St. John's just like I root for the New York Rangers. Like I don't really care, but like if I had to pick one, I'd rather them win. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way about any other New York team. Like I don't hate the Yankees, but I don't particularly care. I definitely hate the Jets. I don't hate the Giants. If anything, I may even like the Giants. But the Rangers, I like the Rangers and I like St. John's. Those are my New York teams, and the Brooklyn Cyclones. If you really want to go there, but that's another story.
I'd like my people to be happy. So like even the Jets, like I'll root for them. If you know push comes to shove, like I like to see New York teams do well. I root for your Miami teams down here. I'm just.
Well, you're indoctrinated in my. You know, it's a different story. You live down there.
I grew up. Really, it started at a young age because my dad was a closet Dolphins fan.
Wow.
Closet Dolphins fan, huge Marino guy, but even long before that, you know, big loved all the 70s teams, and he had to like keep it a secret, I think, from his dad.
Cam Ward.
We were a big Giants
draft Cam Ward, Giants.
I hope so.
That'd be cool.
So. We'll see.
That'd be cool.
But no, I was, you know, I had Dolphins pounded into my brain at a very young age, so it was kind of weird. I grew up like Dolphins Giants. I was very confused, but then Dolphins made it easy for me because they sucked for 30 years.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful week. I appreciate you being here. Like I always say, you could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us, and we appreciate that more than you'll ever know. Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you, Spencer Israel. Feel better, my friend. Thank you, Louis Sykes. Thank you, Steve Strazza. Thank you, Michael Saylor. Appreciate you guys.
Big meeting. 11 o'clock today. Big crypto meeting. All right, have a good weekend, everybody.
We have a meeting at 11 o'clock?
No, White House. You're not.
Oh,
We're not going.
I didn't get invited.
You didn't get invited. I'll be.
It's not in my calendar.
All right, I'll let you know.
All right.
I can't take no loss. I don't